That's amazing. Okay? Yep. We should go. We will go through the steps. We will go through some motivation of us, of students, of some other groups that are connected with our project. And we will show some results and very important observations that we came across.
We'll let you also hear some of the testimonials firsthand from the teachers, from some of the kids, about how this impacted their life, how it affected them. Because we felt like when we hear it from them, it has a much higher impact than if we tell you what happened. It really touched our heart, what we found out.
And this is the start. That was the start for me. The absence of acceptance manifests itself in the statement: something is wrong with my child. Me being type 6, and as a teacher, I was really controlling. I was enjoying the control and this what if. And it was fine. That was 17, 20 years ago. That was fine. Until I got my own kids. And then I saw some other teachers at school are doing what I was doing to my kids. And it all came to realization. Oh my God. And then I saw my kids who were having fun, who were these crazy kids, yeah. Their imagination, their flight, their spirit, it was done to them, this cutting. The teachers were cutting this divine light to whatever they wanted. And I didn't want it anymore. This happened when suddenly I started understanding the Enneagram usage for my kids. And then when I told my son, you know, I'm shouting not because I don't love you, it's because I'm so afraid that you will be punished at school. And you know, he turned to me and he said, you know, Mom, I love you. From a boy, big boy, teenager, I love you. Just calm down. I was like, oh my God, it's working. Something here changed. That was the big shift. And this is when the fate brought somebody else in my life who had some fights and troubles being at school as a teacher, as this image teacher. Exactly like this, like Gurdjieff is saying, automatic. You see this propeller? This is what she was. This beautiful teacher. Please, Rania.
Exactly. I mean, these two pictures on the right-hand side with the automatic propeller and the teacher sort of screaming her head and almost getting a nervous breakdown was exactly me a couple of years back, okay? And maybe you have already guessed my type. I guess it shows. I'm a type 1. So it was like, how the class can be controlled, how can I get to what I want, was the main focus, really, of how I work. They said I was a good teacher, results were delivered, but there was something there that didn't feel right. And I used to go home every single day. I used to sleep on the bus back home, to the school and back from the school, totally worn out, energy down. It felt like more of a fight. Yes, I like what I'm doing. I like being around the kids. I like the teaching, but it really drained me. So I was pretty much like this by the end of the day. And my life was like, school, coming back, that's it, nothing more. And then, again, fate. So I came across the journey for it. I started with Khaled, with the mindfulness, and then I felt there is something different here. How is this? How can this affect me? Why am I here exactly? And it started happening really gradually. And all of a sudden it's like, I get some of my colleagues at work and they're asking me last year, what happened to you? You changed. Tell us what happened. They would stop me in the corridor, take pictures of me, and then put it on the school Facebook page. And it's like, look how she's dressing today. Look how she's taking time to put makeup. Look how she is changing. What happened? And then one of them came to me and said, are you in love?
You are in love with your life.
And the question really took me by surprise, and I reflected, and it's like, yes, I am in love. I am in love with myself now. So, same teacher, same workload, same everything, yet I go home not drained. I have the energy to go on. I have the energy to do much more. I started going taking tango classes, guys. For a while, that's a big step. So it's like my schedule has completely changed. It felt like the energy was even up here somewhere. It was happening before, and all of a sudden I have energy to do much more than what I used to do before. So it's like, wow.
So what happened? What happened actually to your colleagues? Did you notice anything?
Yeah, I have another colleague also who stopped me on the corridor and said, Rania, I have to tell you about this. I changed. I'm not a one anymore. I was like, okay, what happened? She said, look at me. I'm not dressing in black and white anymore. I'm wearing colors now. Look at me. In class now, I'm not so all caught up about control, and the class has to be exactly perfect, and we have to deliver the things on time exactly, do the content, everything. No, it's like, I mind the children more. I can connect with the children better. And this was one of the examples. I mean, many others, each one according to his journey, each one according to how far he got on his journey, but the impact was unbelievable. It's like 100% of all the teachers that we spoke to or attended this Enneagram workshop, they reported an enormous change in their life. They started connecting with themselves, they started understanding themselves better, and it made a big change, whether on their personal life or in their work at school. Okay. When we were preparing this workshop, me and Natasha, I came across this quote, and it sort of hit me really at the core, especially the word humane. It's like a more humane way for both teachers and students. It doesn't have to be that I go out of the class and I'm almost having a breakdown, or that the kids are getting out of the class and they are hating the learning. It doesn't have to be this way. It can be done in a much better way, in a fun way. Learning still will happen, but take it slowly. Take it slowly with ourselves.
And here we are. Now that was a little bit of how it all started for us, for personal journey. And of course we decided to bring it up for more. And the idea of our project started more than a year ago, so it's a fresh baby pilot that we are proud of, and we are now on the road. This is the road that has no beginning, has no end, yet there are stations. And every station here, there's a work done horizontally, meaning at every station there is something going on and it's going its direction. Yet all of it is going on for the, as we would believe, better future, better perspectives. So there is the Enneagram for teenagers station, there is the Enneagram for preteens, there is Enneagram for teachers, there is Enneagram for parents. And all this road, we came out with a very, our Enneagram Egypt School project term, which is 360 Enneagram.
The idea of 360 Enneagram came along when we started thinking about, okay, our target groups are teachers, they are parents, and they are students. Together, they sort of are influenced and influence each other all the time. So it's like, if I take the student and I start working with them on better understanding their type, at the same time, simultaneously, I work with the teachers, and they get to understand themselves also better, and they connect how my type really affects my teaching technique inside the class, because a lot of times we're doing things and we're not really aware, why am I doing this inside the class? And there are a lot of connections between how my type is how it manifests itself in the class. And then the parents as well. So we thought of it as like a circle altogether. If we can have all these target groups within our project, then we have the 360 degree Enneagram. We completed the circle. We sort of closed the entire circle that affects each other. And then also pop up the concept circle of influence, circle of concern, because education is very big. It's a very big sector. Okay? We aim high at having an impact on the education there. But if I have this in mind, this is my circle of concern. I cannot go there straight away. I have to focus on my circle of influence first. Maybe this is a term that I learned years ago when I was still in corporate, but I thought it fits here as well. I mean, let me work within my circle of influence. My staff room at school, the teachers, my school, spread it and go to the next school, and the next school, and the next school, our kids at home, kids at the school, and it will sort of create ripples, and then I can eventually get to my circle of concern and have an impact there.
And here we are, starting with the first section, which would be teachers.
Okay, this is pretty much how the education system looks like now. It's like we have different students with different personalities. Okay, teachers are being trained day in, day out on how to apply different techniques inside the learning process. Okay, so it's like how to attract the audio, how to attract the visual, the kinesthetic, the people who need to move around, get more activities inside the class. Yes, we're trained to do all that. But then it comes to a point where when we come to really assess these kids, when we come to say how good they are doing, or is the learning happening or not, it reverts back to the old traditional way of measuring all of them with one measure only. So it's like, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, then it's going to fail. So yes, change is happening, it's there, but the full spectrum of it didn't yet happen. And this is where we thought that the Enneagram can come in. Maybe it would speed up the change process, because it really focuses now not only on learning styles, but personalities, and how these personalities and their differences affects their learning, affects how the students really learn. I mean, we are after the learning. This is the primary thing here. Okay, not only the academics, but the learning in general, the skills of the kids. So if we want these to happen, then I might as well address it the way that they need it to fasten it up. Okay, so we started with the teachers, giving a workshop first about what Enneagram is. I mean, we have to get them on board. They didn't know what Enneagram was. I mean, the term Enneagram to them was like talking Chinese. What is Enneagram? They never heard of it. And it's still young here in Egypt. I mean, our community is still building the knowledge of it. So one of the first things actually when we started doing the workshop, again, some of the teachers came up and it's like, you're giving us an 8-hour workshop. What are you going to say in 8 hours? How can we sit down to split on 2 days? What are you going to say? I mean, this is a lot. We want to go home. But the nice thing was, after the first session, they were calling out for more. And they sat there, including the 7s and the 3s. They didn't move, with eyes wide open. My God, this exists? It really describes how I am. Are there other people like this, like me, in life in general? So we got their interest. It continued, and then we started making a link. Okay, now you got to know your types. Let's see how we can put this knowledge into the teaching. Let's see how this affects you inside the classroom. How one teacher, how her teaching style is. Where are her pitfalls? Where is she sort of fixated still here? How can we make it different here? And if we want to make a change with the students, we have to start with the teachers first. Okay, they are really the catalysts for the change here. I cannot go and target like the children first. It's the teachers first that have to understand why they are doing what they're doing, work on changing it, and then the change will happen with the teachers. And this is actually how it happened during this year. So we followed up with interviews after that. mentorship during the stage meetings of the different classes. We will discuss different cases of students, students who have issues, how can we better target their issues, how can we help them, and the knowledge that was going around between the different teachers and how they could help each other depending on the different types, because everybody thinks from his own place, from his own perspective, was really tremendous. It's like one time one of the teachers came and was like, I have this student, I cannot connect to him. He's so sensitive. Anything that changes in the environment, complete shutdown. Complete shutdown. Try and complete shutdown. How can we reach this guy? Okay? One of the classes, he even had a very angry face on his copybook when the teacher asked him to do something. I hate this. Threw the copybook on the floor and shut down. You cannot reach him. Okay? What can we do? And case studies like this were discussed then, and we built on the knowledge of each other, just coming out of the time, flowing out of the time. So it's like one of them said, I'll explain it to him again, no problem, I'll explain it to him again. And next to her was a hard type teacher, and she kept doing like this. It's like, I'll explain, I'll use the different methods. I'll put a PowerPoint for him. No, I will take him on a one-on-one and explain it again to him. And the hard teacher sitting next to her kept doing like this. It's like, tell us, what can we do? He needed to connect. He needed first a connection. And this is actually what the other teacher had done. She simply went to him and said, you know what, Omar? Even if you hate me, I love you. And immediately it was down. The block that happened was down. He was ready to listen again. He erased the face, the angry face, and he started listening. Okay, now the usual way could have been, how can you do this? This is against school rules. Okay, you will be punished for that. I'll report this to your parents. I send an email to your parents. Yes, you can do all this, but you lost him. You totally lost him. You cannot get through to this guy anymore. Okay, just establishing the connection made all the difference.
Looking at these pictures, these show what was done. So as you see, some interviews, some workshops, and it's not just lecturing the teachers. It's not just sitting on that stalk. No, they play. They are like kids. They want to get out from their teaching environment and to become usual human beings. They like games. So we're applying all it, and some of it just charts, and they go around and feel a mean, and then they come and even look, oh, I forgot something, what I could, and they go and look. So these are the basics of our work, what we do with them, the charts, sometimes they're listening, yet they prefer interaction.
Yes, and we have loads of information that needs to be analyzed now, because we took their feedback, whether in interviews, whether in questionnaires, and it's really gave us a lot of insights about how to go further with this project, like hands-on, real hands-on. Tell me what to do. Now I understand why I do what I do. Now tell me what can I do. And they told us what to do, because each one was just simply describing herself, and to someone else this was the solution of how to connect to this type.
And the most important that we noticed was the fast reaction to what to do, to how to connect. That was something that was themselves, the teachers started understanding and bringing up. And
okay, we thought of letting you listen for yourself for what we keep telling you happening with the teachers. So here we have two teachers. You will listen to what they have to say about how it impacted them. The first one, Rasha, on the right, she's a French teacher for middle school students, and when asked how did the Enneagram affect your life, she said, my God, it really changed it a lot. First, I felt it, of course, with myself when I started understanding why I'm doing what I'm doing. Then it went on to her family, to her kids, and finally to her work. I mean, this has been done over a year, so it really takes time with the teachers to get the info. It sinks in, and then it starts manifesting itself in their work.
the specific incident, a situation with a student, where you could say, this is not the old Russia, I changed, I handled this differently now. Can you recall any example?
I don't know if I see example of handling a certain situation, no. But I'll tell you about a student. I had a student which actually now I can say that she's a type 8.
Okay.
Since once you enter the classroom, you know that she needs to have her own way, and she needs to have her word, and she needs to have the upper hand. Students like this are always hard to handle.
Yes.
And I think that my old self would normally either give her lots of things to do, so I would keep her busy, get her out of my way, or ignore her. Mostly ignore her. I would have ignored her. But lately, since I started teaching her this year, I try to understand a little bit and give her sometimes, when possible, as much as I can, some space to be herself.
Okay.
If it does not contradict me. فمثلا, okay, so I understand type 8 more now. Other students now that always cry whenever something happens in class, I was very impatient with them before, honestly. But especially that I teach older students, not young ones.
You teach middle school students?
Middle school.
Okay.
So when I used to teach the little ones or elementary schoolers, small kids, I was okay with crying most of the time. I mean, it's fine because they're young and they need to express themselves. But I don't know why. I think that I used to think that the older ones should have more control on their emotions. But now, no, I'm more sympathetic, let's say. Yes, towards the very emotional students.
Okay. You understand where they're coming from now?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the other teacher here, I want you to notice the difference when she's describing the change that happened to her. The one we just listened to was a type 7. Okay, the other one is a type 4, and she teaches elementary students. Notice the difference in language, how she expresses.
Can you elaborate a little bit on how this affected you, for example, at work, like your relationship with your colleagues, for example?
It elaborated many different character traits in my colleagues at work, and I got to know them better. I knew how to give excuses to different people in times of stress, which was something I didn't do before.
Okay. Did you notice any of this change that you're talking about happening inside the class itself?
It did.
So as
many
a
students.
teacher first, how did you see this impact happening?
A couple of years ago, whenever I faced any kinds of problems in class, I used to freak out. Even if it was a minor thing, it used to impact me. It could last for hours and hours till I go back home. I would have a sense of guilt, unexplainable. But after I knew that I was type 4, it helped me get over this so much.
Okay. How about your students? Did it affect in any way your relationships with your students?
Apparently yes.
Okay.
Apparently yes.
How? Give us an example.
Yes, I had this student in my class. At the very beginning of the year, I received feedback from his teacher. In year 1, I'm a year 2 teacher. The feedback I was given was that he was very hard to handle. He used to have tantrums. After I discovered myself as a type 4, I got to put myself in his shoe each and every single situation that happened in class. And it did help, yes, definitely.
So you were able to manage him better, this is what you mean?
Yes, and apparently I don't have any concerns with that student in particular anymore.
Okay, so it's like one teacher was able to connect better with her students, and the other teacher was like, okay, I stopped ignoring my students. I didn't get into a power struggle. I can now understand where she's coming from, and I can handle her better. And of course, it affects the
specific
learning.
example. Can you elaborate a little bit on how this
From the class
affected you?
And these are the observations or the insights that we were talking about. So as we were working with the teachers, it sort of gave us a lot of insights about how this impacted their life, how it impacted their teaching inside the class, and we felt like the scene was ready. Like when asked in the questionnaire, do you think it is important to introduce the Enneagram to schools? 100% of them answered, it's crucial, it's essential, you have to do it, yes please. I mean, yes, we understand people are different, but that's it. No clue how different it is, how it affects us, how the motivations are different. Just that they are different. They need more. They need to know more about this, and they are really willing and eager to know more about how to understand these differences to be able to pull it into their teachings. Also, they were very helpful in terms of like giving us really the tips of how to work. Like, hard students, please, 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 connect before anything. The learning will happen later. Don't focus on the learning now. Connect with them. They need the connection first. So it made it very clear, like, these are the relational people. Try to connect to them. Mind people. Try to be logical as much as you can and give the knowledge. And the gut people, try to listen to them. It was very important for them all. Gave this feedback. We need to be heard. We need to be respected. We don't want teachers who ridicule us in class. Even if we do or say something wrong, or we cannot answer immediately, give us the time. Let us be heard, because otherwise you shut them down, and they're not willing to go on.
So one of the obstacles that we came through with the teachers, the question from the teachers was, so I don't have time or ability to type every single child. I have 40 kids, up to 100 per year. And that's it, the year finishes. So what should I do? I cannot know them all. So the program itself, the project itself, we give a school a year. When we come to the school with the project, it's a year based. A year until we can track results. And we have our measuring system of what we call results. Then it's up to the school. We can go on for the second year, which will be more of awakening, and forever, or that's it. The change will happen. They will have the tools. They will have the hands out, what to do by themselves. Yet the question, so what should I do? Should I type them, every one of them? And with the teachers from the workshops, we came out to the conclusion that we can work based on the triads.
I mean, first thing is, for the teacher, it was very important that let's establish one thing. 80% of the work is on the teacher herself, not on the students, okay? Work on yourself. It's exactly like we told the parents yesterday in the parents session. Work on yourself. You, by becoming a better parent, you're helping your child to become a better child, okay? Don't focus on how to change them, change yourself. And the same holds with the teachers, like work on yourself, work on understanding yourself, implementing these changes inside the classroom, and as a byproduct, it will help with the students. And then also the other insight that we could give is like, you don't need to go and type all the students, of course, and it's not doable within a year. How can I type 40 different students inside the class? And I may have more than 5-6 classes that I'm teaching. Don't focus on that, but maybe look by triad, okay? It's like how the energies are. Try to pick up the energies, okay? Are these sort of from the heart triad? Are these from the mind? Are these from the gut? And with the little kids, it's easy to see. It's really easy to see, okay? They're still very pure. You can sort of get it. And from there, okay, narrow down your choices. So at least you know, here my prime strategy would be to connect first. Here my prime strategy would be work on their logical thinking and mind, giving options, possibilities. And with the gut, get them moving a little bit, okay? Not a lot of sitting down, not a lot of control at all. Listen to them. So it was basically helping them to try and look at their kids by energy. And it helped a lot because they could see, this guy looks like maybe he's assertive. So I narrow down my choices to 3. Maybe this, maybe that, maybe that, okay? So it helped them and got the panic of I have to type all my students to be able to move forward. It took this out of the way.
Thank you. So that's
the teachers. Before we go on, any questions for the teachers?
Do you go take them school by school? Is that what you'll be doing?
It's a school, yes, we come.
One school.
No, there are several schools we are in. The project always oriented, one school oriented. So we come in and 360 starts working.
And they're all private.
Yes, that's one of the challenges that would be in the challenges. The more open school, even to be received with the change on the consciousness, of course it will be with a little bit different attitude towards the school. This is the challenge, and we will mention it, the cultural challenge. That's why we're talking about Egypt. We're not talking about Europe or America. So this is about the teachers so far. And of course, the next 360 point were kids, children, young adults. The biggest thing when we started the program for this sector, how should we approach to them? To tell the truth, I was very inspired by the Awaken Through Enneagram program by Dr. Khalid Shibli, because it was clear that the kids should be approached totally different. They're not my generation. The attributes of love, compassion, cooperation, and forgiveness are no longer lofty concepts for philosophers and spiritual leaders. They are daily experiences. That was so marvelous. I understood I cannot be teaching them from my only point of view. I cannot just put in them the Enneagram knowledge, the type, psychology, and that's it. They need much more. They need some spark. Even if we basically start with the Enneagram knowledge, I have to lead them somewhere. And they will lead me, and they will lead the teacher, circle of influence, circle of concern. This is how it started. And every single step was actually based and converted from the Awaken Through Enneagram for adults, where we work on our consciousness, for the kids. And they were like sponges. They come to me, I have connection from this type and this, what's going on? They themselves, are we all this? Is this all of it in us? Wow, I was like, oh, you're so advanced.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was a revelation. So now they come to me, we're all of this and none of this. And they have pictures all over sitting inside of the Enneagram sign. They brought this out. I had intention to teach it after half a year. This is how I would understand it as an adult. They came to it after several workshops. They don't like sitting. Kids cannot bear sitting and be taught only and chained. Everything comes through edutainment. That's it. Period. We have to play. Character building games and implement from every character some hints. Then they start recognizing. Yet, I'm giving them the clues of what each and every type can teach us and what we can take from this type. It was very interesting and very sad that the kids, when they come, they have already programmed for something that they cannot do or that they are not good enough. That was very sad. The hardest exercise for the kids of the age from 13 to 15, I'm specific, I will elaborate more, is to say how good I am and what I am good at. They were covering themselves and asking me, can I write something how bad I am? You can't imagine. Can I write how bad I am and he is sitting 14 years old? They were crying. Kids crying. That was touching. I'm using drum. They love playing. They love being some character. And it opens them up for type 7 suddenly to pretend to be type 1. Oh my God. Okay? They love dressing up and buttoning themselves. Feel it. Feel it. Of course, I'm using, again, in Awakened through Enneagram, we have shadows. I cannot bring children, the inner child and shadow, no way. Yet, I can let type 4 touch what it means to be type 2. Try how that is. Big revelations for them. And, of course, one of the methods I'm using is drawings and expressing themselves through the art. You see this sign, emoji, that's created by a child. He's 15 years old. He tried with his big heart to show me everything in one. All 9 types in one. See, imagine, he put everything. It's sadness, it's happiness, it's love, it's whatever. Everything there. They are very creative. And this is where this comes. We are all of it, all of this is in me. They're so young, and it's already in them.
Tell us about the storytelling, Natasha. How does it work with them?
I will go to that, thank you very much, through the motivations. The motivation is the challenge, huge challenge for us, dealing with the sector of kids, preteens, teenagers. The group, we have groups, of course, we cannot educate them all in one. That's why we have from 9 to 11, from 12 to 15, and 15, 18. These are the sectors. We cannot put 11-year-old with the 9-year-old. Never. At least for us, our experience. So, for the 9 to 12 years old group, they just come in to have fun, whatever that is. So the motivation is easier. Okay, it's fun, they were called. For this group, when they come, they are ready for, they're more receptive. They're more trusting. When they come, they're ready to listen. They're ready to participate. They are open books. Okay? And for them, the language of the Enneagram itself is different. Stories, fairy tales, example of some character going somewhere on a journey and like such and such type. And the speaking names, associations of the names. So if it would be somebody brainy, I don't know, Brian Brain, that would be something they would remember and immediately recall the type. So that works so good. Then they talk about this association in their mind. This age. Of course, more activity, more character building, more games and more drawings, more everything. The next group, this is where the challenges start to appear. The next group from 12 to 15, there's 13, this age. The motivation when they're coming, I would say almost zero. This is actually motivation of their parents to come, to bring them. So their parents, thank you parents, whoever brought your kids. This is the acknowledgement for a parent who made a step. Huge resistance for anything that is going to be brought up. I have to deal with the trust. So if my mother brought me up here on my vacation time, on my weekend, or whatever, so what are you here to say? Like, okay, let's deal. Let's talk. And it takes lots of energy of a teacher or educator, whoever working, to break it, to win them. Very big here. Yet again, by not just lecturing now, say it and do, they have it at school. You have to get them interest, to get them trust, and to get the connection. Plus, we have to be level with them. Now I'm like you. I'm not here to teach. Every single word, we have to make a rapport with them. They have to be as me. I'm here, your friend, from age 7, even
from age 7 to 14. We are helping our kids yet a little bit to grow from the age 13, 14 with their friends. Big mistake if we are not. And big challenge with this group comes, they are already programmed from the inside that something is wrong with me. This is the age when they get skills to come to the society. So everything is right with me. I'm a teenager. Everything is right. What are you going to fix me? They are wrong. Something is wrong with the society. So this is how the world is seen. And unfortunately, they have already something here imprinted by whatever teachers, parents, life, that there is something wrong with them, might be wrong with me. And this is where the sadness starts.
And it's paradoxical also, because in a way they think there is something wrong with them, yet when you ask them, do you want to change? No, I'm fine. I'm okay. It's the parents that have to change, anyone else has to change, but I see no need. I'm happy like this, where I am.
And then we grow up to be the same, actually. And another challenge, another motivation that comes here, but for parents who want them to be mended. Sometimes kids have gone through some traumas already at this age. Like yesterday at the panel, type 4 girl who started when she was 14, with Dr. Khalid, when she started studying the Enneagram. She was having depression. She had consciousness enough, she was conscious enough to bring herself up to this. And it helped her. It modified something in her life. She could go on. Where was yesterday present? She's so conscious.
Yes.
She was teaching the audience. Feedbacks from the parents after the classes. Amazing. Like Eric Fromm said, what's a family? It's a conversation. Period. Some parents are coming and saying, Dad, what you did, I don't know. I started speaking with my kids. We have intellectual talk. The best I had. We just sat together and talked for 15 minutes. 15 minutes. And that was just the start. I'm happy. I'm happy. They're becoming young adults. Feedbacks is amazing. So, the kids sometimes are sitting like this, not willing to show that everything is there, being absorbed, and being sucked in. And this is the work of children. Of course, many other things are happening, many other tools are used, and we are amazed. Yesterday, again at the panel, it was so amazing how children are sharing what happened, what they did, and how they teach us. Like the type 1 yesterday, girl said, and she was teaching us, please, parents, school is not everything.
Eat healthy.
But yet, like, school is not everything. Type 1. That was also a very good observation. What we read in the books of the Enneagram fixations. For example, type 1, black and white, the only one way, on the bad day of everything. And yet, in the classes, the type 1 say, why should everything be only one way? So they're conscious of us teachers, little bit different conscious. And already, even the same type 1, there's different. So we cannot approach the kids, we have to watch them. Not only say, okay, this is what we read in the books, this is it. No, watch them. So every workshop we have, we get from them the feedbacks. And it's like changing the Enneagram perspective itself, the Enneagram teaching, adding to it, because the consciousness is putting its impact. We would like to show you some kiddies talking. What happened? So for you to see with us, to feel it, what children can share.
Hi, can you please say how old you are and what is your Enneagram type? I am 11 years old and I'm a type 7.
Okay, I have a question for you. What impact, do you know the word impact, yeah? What impact did the Enneagram make in your life? What have you noticed? Anything? Any interesting things?
I started, I became more aware of the stuff I have been doing that before I did not notice.
Which are those?
I am always, if someone tells me a sentence or part of an explanation, I already think I understand everything. But when I go into exam or someone asks me questions, I only answer a part of it.
Okay. Jumping in the thoughts. Okay. Anything else that you noticed, for example, about some future planning or anything? What's there?
I always jump ahead, and I don't focus on what I'm doing right in the present. I think of what's happening in the future, and now I am more aware that I need to stay more calm and think of what I'm doing now more than the future.
Wow, okay, that's a very big awareness for your age. And anything else crossing your mind that you could add?
Sometimes when I'm reading a book, I jump from one page to another. Like if there's a picture on the other page, I would sometimes glance at it and ruin the excitement of the book.
Wow, really? So now when you're reading, do you notice it? But that you're doing it?
Yeah, I'm noticing it in every book. Every time I just glance at the other page.
So what are you doing now when you see this pattern of your reading a book like that?
I cover it with a bookmark or anything, or like a paper, so it can help me.
Okay, so you consciously understand that you have to help yourself.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Can you please say how old you are and your Enneagram type?
I'm 14 years old and I'm type 9.
The question for you would be, have you seen any changes in you since you started doing the Enneagram?
So before I knew my type and Enneagram, I used to call myself lazy and weird, and I wouldn't do lots of stuff. I would be slow. Now I know that it's procrastination, and I would still do the important thing in the end. It's just procrastination. It's not lazy, and there are lots of people in the world just like me.
Just like you.
Procrastinating. It's fine.
Yes.
So and sometimes I would get bursts of anger.
You used to get bursts of anger.
And I would be ashamed of it. I'm like, no, I would push it down, and I would not like it. Now I greet the anger, and I feel it, and I greet it, but I don't. I don't need to hit someone to let it out, or
to let the anger go.
To scream at someone. I just I understand it and feel it, and then it goes away. So it's all fine.
Anything else you'd like to add?
And after knowing that I'm a social 9, I started trying to stop thinking a lot about how people see me and how they look at me, how they see me. So sometimes I would not wear a certain jacket or jeans just because I would think that people would see me weird, that they wouldn't like it. So I wouldn't wear it. Yes, it was overthinking. Yeah. So now I'm trying to stop thinking about how people see me, and to do the things that I like and do. So yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing.
So these are the kids. A lot more to say. Yet here we are, just saying some parts.
But big words and insights from them. Yeah. Please say how old you are and.
So these are the These are the kids session, tweens, preteens, young adults. And any questions? Any questions before we go to the big?
Yes, please. How do you deal with the kids that you find them obsessed with electronics? How you deal with the idea of Enneagram and the concentration and all of these? How they are controlled, or not controlled, but how you deal with that? It's a very big obstacle.
Yeah.
To let him understand what's going on, the awareness and the consciousness.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
electronics makes kids aparted from the real life,
Yeah, sure.
aparted from communication.
Yeah. Very, very, very important question. Thank you for that. Of course, in the classes, they don't even think of it. This, for us, credit. Yet, parents do complain and parents do have these problems.
True.
What can be said? Unfortunately, the more stress and unpleasant things, this is what we noticed, are in the life of a child, the more she will be escaping. So actually, this virtual life that is there, interesting, is virtually happiness for a child. This is escaping world. There, he's not being scolded. There, he's successful. There, he's perfect. There, he has all the garmers. There, he's everything that we have. He's there in this virtual world. So the more the family is aware, the more the parents are aware and working on themselves, the more the child turns to them. It's like we're actually taking the child from the gadgets to the world. Okay? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
That's what we noticed. The more stressed the children are, they want to escape. This is the escape world, which is so good.
Successful. And they feel
Everything.
success.
Now look at the old Enneagram. I want to control, beat me there. I want success, I'm number one. I'm so safe there. I have so many cars and tanks against you. You understand? I'm so perfect there. For type 7, I have so many diversity things jumping from one to another. YouTube, I can never finish. And what is here? The mother, the father, and so on will not go. Just for us to work on ourselves, love the kids. If nothing works, just love them. Love yourself and love them. It doesn't mean that will not happen, that they will totally throw the gadgets away. They cannot live without them. The future is for it. The more we are touched for it to throw it away, they will not want it to leave it. Yesterday at the panel, every single type of children were talking about give us freedom. Yet for every type, freedom is different. So this is the problem of the society that is changing consciousness. So that was a very big question, and it's a very big problem, and yet this is what we have noticed.
I wouldn't call it a problem though, Natasha. The problem is in our heads as parents and as teachers sometimes. They live a different world than the world we lived. They live a different time than the time we lived, okay? And sometimes the problem is in our heads because we want them to go in a certain way, the way that we know. Sometimes they know way better than we do. And out of my own experience with my own kids, okay, one of them is in still teenage years, one is already out of the teenage, alhamdulillah. And it's like you evolve with them, you really do. You learn a lot from your kids. Okay? So it's like, it doesn't have to go according to what I see. I mean, my boy would come to me and say, Mama, you think I'm always playing when I'm watching YouTube? That's not how it is. He's getting info, but maybe we are used to getting info through books only. No, they are not like that. They are much more digital and technological than we are. So sometimes they're getting their knowledge through their gadgets. Okay, so if you give a more relaxed attitude with them, they will be okay. They will not escape and get into this fixation of only this because I don't want to hear the nagging of the parents. Like Natasha said, I want to be perfect. I want to have the options. Relax with them a little bit.
the Enneagram to the kids? Teachers from inside the school having been trained to the Enneagram, or you as trainers coming from outside?
Thank you very much for the question. As far as the project is very young, we are the ones who are teaching. And we, of course, having it in plan to be preparing the teachers. That's why the work is done 360, and the teachers are being prepared with the insights and everything. Yet now we are the ones who are coming to the schools.
They still need to take their time to digest the knowledge first before really be able to deal with it.
And the closing the 360, we would like to come to the message, as all of us here who had parents, who are parents, who will be parents, and children inside of us. This message that we also give in our workshops, for you to put intention, to get something, some answers for questions inside of you, and to enjoy it.
And listen with your hearts, please.
But the question is, how is that good for your kid? It's terrible for your kid.
They don't have much self-worth.
I think I made her that way. You did. You raised me. Should have done better.
Snowplow parents who are just preparing the road for the kid instead of the kid for the road.
Sometimes you get distracted with sadness. You just don't know what to do.
They won't be able to go to school, they can't sleep because they're too anxious.
Get up! No! Get up!
Kids grow up, they can't do for themselves. They don't have life skills, they don't have the skills needed in the workplace.
So how do you avoid that if you're a parent?
My parenting is causing my daughter to be ostracized and isolated and to feel horrible and to miss out on opportunities to be with friends. But do I want her to have those opportunities?
Now what's happening with the so-called teenagers?
You look at all the different theories about what makes successful kids, almost all the theories are wrong.
You got used to your child as a helpless creature.
Most love is conditioned, control-based, and fear-based. It's all about the self. And you will see most parents do not accept their children for who it is they are.
You seem like you're unhappy. And she rolled her eyes and I said, I get a sense that you're unhappy with me.
That is all a teenager is asking, okay, who the hell are you?
Because they're not good enough, or great enough, or fabulous enough, or not some accolade enough.
They're always doing things that by and large are destructive.
The main battle is my child is not who I thought my child would be.
Kids go into the kitchen and pull out all the pots and pans and start banging on them. What's the first thing you say as a parent? Stop making all that noise. Stop the racket. You're getting the pots and pans dirty.
She said, well, today I found out that 2 weeks ago all of my friends had a party and they didn't invite me and I only just have found out about it today. And when I asked them why they didn't invite me, they said, well, because it was the kind of party that Dr. Justin Coulson wouldn't have approved of. And for those of you for whom the penny didn't drop, I'm Dr. Justin Coulson.
I show parents that the reason they can't do this, accept their child unequivocally for who it is they are, is because they haven't accepted themselves for who it is they are.
And I looked at her and I said, if they didn't invite you to a party that I wouldn't approve of, it sounds like there probably were a few things going on that are not consistent with our values.
You have a lot of high IQ people who become marginal members of society. Part of it is your personality that is formed when you're very young.
Was there alcohol being consumed and potentially misused? She said, yes. I said, were there other drugs being consumed and potentially misused? She said, almost certainly. I said, were people disappearing into rooms for intimate encounters that they may or may not regret the next day? She said, possibly. I said, well, I'm really glad you weren't there.
Here's the checklist. This is what I believe is success and failure and beauty and achievement. And now follow my way or you're already an outcast in my eyes. Don't do this to your child.
And so I said, do we need to revisit the rules? She looked at me and said, Dad, I know why we have the rules. I've been part of the conversations, remember? I said, okay. I said, I want to ask you a tough question. You're nearly an adult. You're a year and a bit of being an adult. Now, I think these are good rules, but do we need to rethink the rules? And then I waited and my heart pounded. And eventually she said, Dad, I don't like the rules. And my heart stopped. And I started to think of how to respond. And as I was thinking, she jumped in and added something else for me. She said, right now, Dad, I don't like the rules one little bit. But they're good rules. I think we should keep them. This is the kind of line that every parent dreams of hearing from their kids. The heavens opened and the angels started singing, and I just wanted to hug her. I was thinking, yes.
This is the greatest lesson for parents.
If you paid attention to the story, you don't get it by saying, well, damn it, they're good rules and I expect that you will keep them. That's part of being in this family. That's called control. And that's not how we get to this point. Instead, we get it through this thing called autonomy.
To truly love someone, it's truly loving the other for who they are, with no you in the picture. They don't have to love you back, they don't have to need you, they don't have to agree with you, they don't have to adhere to you.
Force creates resistance. But great relationships build autonomy, which allows us to leverage trust, which builds massive influence.
If you want to be somebody to that new fresh life which has come, you must not have defined boundaries of who you are.
So then I make them see how it's now being projected onto the child. Don't do this to your child. Your child is okay and whole in their ordinariness. The child doesn't need more to feel more.
Eventually, we've got to let go. We've got to let our kids make decisions for themselves. We've got to let our team make decisions for themselves. We can't do it all for them.
Drop this damn thing that your child belongs to you. Another life does not belong to you. If another life has chosen to be with you, please cherish that.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this. And thanks for us that we exist for our children. We are there for them. And they do appreciate it. Of course, we have, as a pilot project, we have many challenges. And these challenges come from psychological point of view, from even the Enneagram, which is materials we need and some methodology. From, of course, teaching point of view. We do wish that we will get this help eventually by working at the project, by inviting the Enneagram Society, Enneagram community to help, to evolve, to think of it and to include the kids in the programs. And we do something with our kids, with the parents, with the teachers, and we would like to invite you for the future coming teachers, parents, students, to leave a message, to leave a motivational message from you, from these people today, for whomever is going to come. Please, we'll give you this exercise for 5 minutes. 5 minutes from each type, which we will very fast sit according to the time, and to leave a message, maximum 2 sentences, for the generation to come, for the future to come. This is how we learn, and this is what we want in the classroom.
We have charts ready for you, so we will kindly ask you to divide by type in groups. And please take some time to discuss it in your groups, and then write what comes to your mind about how you would like to learn, or what you feel very important for you to find in the classroom. We have markers here, so it's like you can cut yourself.
This is type 1 here.
Not only as kids, even like where you are now, but divide by time, okay? And think about it, okay? If I was in a classroom, learning, what would I like to have on this
كمل.
How would I like to learn? Okay.
At 5